our platform, Massive Media, want to bring to you the news about King Charles and Camilla, the Queen consort, during their walkabout in York, north of England. The protest incident that led to throwing of eggs on the king and his queen, and what throwing eggs in United Kingdom means. We will also bring you the interview of Nigerian President in United Kingdom after his visit to the King of England, King Charles III. Now, it was reported on November 9th that the King and Queen consort had been on walkout at Michaelgate Bar in York. It was at this walkout that the young man, a white young man, a student at the University of York, came out and threw eggs on the King of England in public. Although the young man was arrested, but he gave reasons why he threw the eggs on the king. The king and the queen consort were being welcomed to Yorkshire City by the leaders when a protester apparently threw his 3 eggs at the king and the queen. Although this did not touch them, but it came closely to them. The man was heard bowing to the royals as he threw the eggs and shouted, "This country was built on blood of slaves and not my king." He is telling the British king that he did not accept him as the king. The reason being that the United Kingdom was built on the blood of slaves. However, the Metropolitan Police that guarded the king and the queen at the entourage arrested the 23-year-old York University. What angered the police officers most was that one of the eggs appeared to have fended off by the Sheriff of York, Susie Massa, who was part of the groups of officers welcoming the king. But the most important thing in this very news is that the young man gave reasons why he decided to throw eggs on the king and the queen, and denouncing them from being their own queen and king, as long as he was concerned. But the question is, why did he do so? Why and where has he gotten the information? This is where the study of history also comes into effect, because the children and the students in Western world are taught the history of the country, history of their previous activities in Africa, in Asia, and in America. Indeed, history of the world, and that has given them the full knowledge of what happens in the society. Because the Western world teach their children history, that is the main reason why up to date they control African country and some other third world countries, because they learn the history. It is this history that they use to control even African countries today. The young student that protested and threw eggs at the king and the Queen did so because he was able to learn history. He protested against the slavery, and the slavery period took place between 17th to 19th century. He did not know when the incident took place, but he was able to read it, and that is how the African countries are being controlled, and the policies of the British and Western world policies towards Africa is being put to practice year after year, month after month. For how many years has the incident of slavery took place? The Western world that came to Africa organized them in a ship and transferred them to the American world, still continue to control African countries. Despite the fact that Africans go to school, go to universities, study with these very youth of the Western world, they still come out from the same university with them and still control them and still manipulate them, because Africans refuse to develop their mental capacity to withstand and reorganize and use the same lessons, the same lectures, the same experiences they have to turn around and make Africa great. However, protest is a universal fundamental right. These rights give the citizen the right to freedom of expression, the right to gather together peacefully without weapons, and the right to find associations or trade unions they want to belong to. This fundamental right to protest can only be stopped if it is violent. But all non-violent protests are acceptable in law, and that is why all citizens all over the world are given the opportunity to protest. Even in Arab countries, they have the right to protest. However, the right to protest gives the citizens right to be publicly challenged and force the government to answer. It is a fundamental political right of the people. Protest, as it is stated earlier, is only way of expressing objection to any action, policy, or statement by the government or any organization that wants to accuse a group of people of themselves. Well, however, going back to the man who threw eggs at the royal family, he was later arrested and taken to police station for questioning on the reasons why he did so. Finally, we look at the interview of the Nigerian president after his visit to the royal family.
Or worked in trade, or indeed ever created a job. But listen, just listen. Now, you're quite right, Mr. Schultz. UKIP used to protest against the establishment, and now the establishment protests against UKIP. So something has happened here. Let us listen to some simple, pragmatic economics. We, between us, between your countries and my country, we do an enormous amount of business in goods and services. That trade is mutually beneficial to both of us. That trade matters. If you were to decide to cut off your noses, to spite your faces, and to reject any idea of a sensible trade deal, the consequences would be far worse for you than it would be for us. And even no deal is better for the United Kingdom than the current rotten deal that we've got. I'm in no doubt that this withdrawal agreement is a good deal. It's a good deal because it involves large transfers of money. It's a good deal because it maintains free movement of people. It's a good deal because it keeps Britain in the customs union and stuck with the EU's rulebook. And crucially, the key point, as Mr Barnier said this morning,
May we know what informed your visit to Buckingham Palace to meet with the King?
Well, firstly, we were to meet with the King in Kigali, but unfortunately that meeting was postponed. I think he is interested very much in Nigeria, maybe of Nigeria's relationship with Britain for all long, and our economic strength. I think we are still of great attachment to them, and he really speaks very well of Nigeria, and he showed the interest that he want the relationship to continue and if possible to be improved.
What are some of the highlights of your discussions with him?
Well, it's mostly economic. Let the business, Nigerian businessmen and the British one continue to work together and let them make sure that the relationship is improved instead of allowing it to go down. Nigeria has a large market. You know Nigerians. And he asked me whether I have a house here. I say no. I have, even in Nigeria, the only house I have are those I had before I got into government. And I'm not very much interested in having assets all over the place. I feel much more freer when I have nothing. This change of currency, I think there will be people a lot of money. But time has been given from October to December, 3 months is enough, whatever money you have, to get it changed through a legal system. So I don't know why people are complaining about it.
So despite the complaint, there's no going back on the policy?
No, there's no going back. There's no going back. My aim is to make sure that Nigerians believe that we respect them as an administration. So Nigerians should vote for whoever they like from whichever party. Nobody will be allowed to mobilize resources and thugs to intimidate people in any constituency. That's what I want to go down into Nigerian history for as a leader.
You are the chairman of the Presidential Campaign Council of your party. What are the chances of your party winning the elections?
What are the chances of my party not winning the election? We are going to win this election. Tinubu, the presidential candidate, is a very well-known politician in the country. He was a 2 times governor in his state, Lagos. Resource-wise, the most resourceful state and the most visited state. So I think the party was lucky to get him.
Thank you very much. You have heard from the President of Nigeria his impression of the election to come and which candidate he preferred and promotes. With this, you have to analyze for those politicians, for those who predict what will happen in future. You look around and they predict effectively based on what you see. With this, we will come to the end of this very analysis, and you have witnessed yourself the effect of slavery and those who try to remind Africans that they need to be free. If in the midst of thousands of youths in United Kingdom, and one person can come out boldly to say Britain is built on the blood of the slaves, and unfortunately African leaders, including Nigeria, are still under the slavery and want the United Kingdom to control their activities, their political structure, their economic and social system. It is the youth of Africans and the Nigerians to reactivate and restructure themselves and the economy of Africa. With this, we come to the end of this very analysis. Subscribe to this channel, share our videos to your friends and well-wishers. Say subscribe once again. Press the notification bell icon. All our videos will come to you. With this, we also thank our subscribers and also those who give us the encouraging comments. We say God bless you all and live in peace. Bye.